Hi everybody, this is last topic in module 4, RAID structure. If you have studied DBMS, you might have known about this and what is the benefit of it and all. Let me tell you the basics of it first. What are the things we are going to see, followed by the detailed explanation. So in RAID structure, we are going to see what is RAID and how it is beneficial in case of secondary storage devices, and what are the levels are there and how OS supports RAID levels. And RAID in the sense redundant array of inexpensive disk. RAID means redundant array of inexpensive disk. Why it is needed? Because we know that data can also be stored in the disk. Assume that if a disk got failed and you have stored some enormous amount of your important data in the disk, and suddenly if your disk got failed, then how you will recover your data? That question plays a major role. To overcome that disk failure, initially they started up with RAID levels. So there are so many levels, and it came step by step to overcome the drawbacks in each and every level. That is what we are going to see. So RAID is to provide you data recovery from the fault. So that is also act as a fault tolerance. So whenever a disk get failed, then this RAID levels will help to recover that fault and to recover the deleted data or destroyed data. Let's see in detail. So RAID is redundant array of inexpensive disk, which is multiple disk provides reliability through redundancy. You are going to repeat your data in some other disk. Whatever you have stored in the disk 1, that backup we are going to take up in some other disk, so that if the disk 1 got failed, we can recover the data from disk 2. And it increases the mean time to failure, which means that if any failure happens, we can get our data from the backup disk. And frequently it is combined with non-volatile RAM. So it is not volatile RAM, it will be frequently combined with non-volatile RAM, so that it will be improved with write performance. If you do the updates, it won't be deleted, it will be there in NVRAM. And RAID is arranged into 6 different levels based on the overcoming the drawbacks in the each levels. It has came up with totally 6 levels. And several improvements in the disk usage techniques have been involved to use multiple disks working cooperatively. And let's see the RAID levels. What are the things will be there? The main thing is data stripping concept will be there, which means that we are going to group the number of disks into one storage unit. Assume that there are 4 different disks, and 4 different disks will be combined together as a one storage unit. Instead of having one disk for storing all the data, it will strip the data into 4 different disks, so that if one disk got failed, remaining 3 disks will be there to have your data and to work on your data. That is what data stripping concept is. And RAID schemes improve the performance and improve the reliability of the storage by having the redundant data, which means mirroring your data. Whatever the data you have in the disk D, that will be there in some other disk D1, so that if disk D got failed, the mirror copy will be there, so that your data can be retrieved from that D1. It is like taking backup of your text or documents. And mirroring or shadowing, which will be there in RAID 1, to keep duplicate of each disk. How many number of disk you have, the same number of copies of disk will be there, so that if any failure happen, you can take from that mirrored disk. And stripped mirrors, which mean you can combine both the levels, like RAID 1 plus 0, or mirror types, which means 0 plus 1, to provide high performance and high reliability. It purely depends on the application. If an application or if a system requires stripped mirrors, then they will combine the RAID 1 and 0 level. If they require some mirror stripes, then they will go with RAID 0 plus 1. That we will see in the next slide. And then comes RAID level 4, 5, 6, which will be having block interleaved parity, which mean to reduce the number of redundancy levels, they have came up with some one block will be allocated with parity checks, so that whenever you update a data, that parity will be used to check whether any error is there or the original data is provided in that disk. To check that the parity will be assigned, that will be distributed in some other disk. And RAID within a storage array can still fail if the array fails, so automatic replication of the data between the arrays is common. So it will try to automatically recover if any failure happens. If not, it will seek the data from the backup disk. And frequently a small number of hard spare disk also left unallocated, which mean some of the disk will be kept empty without having any of the data, so that automatically if any disk got failed, then automatically it will try to replace the contents to that hot spare disk. This is also rebuilt onto them when it recovers from it. So this is how RAID helps to recover from any of the fault. It is also called as fault tolerance. That is why RAID levels are supposed to be there in any of the disk mechanisms. So whenever a disk got failed, it will try to recover from that failure to get back our data for that usage. Let's see the images of the RAID levels. So first is RAID 0. You could see that 4 disks are there. The concept of RAID 0 is non-redundant stripping, which means that there is no redundancy of your data. Instead of storing all your data in one single disk, what will happen if you store all your data in one single disk? If any failure happened to the disk, all your data will get lost. Instead, what RAID 0 recommends is to have different number of disks. If it is 4 disks, your data will be distributed in all 4 disks, not the same data, different data. If C drive is there, then your content of C drive will be there in one disk, and D drive, E drive, F drive, assume like that. If D drive got failed, then your C, E and F will be working perfectly without any issues. Only D got failed. So this is how non-redundant stripping works. Instead of loading all your data in one disk, you can have number of disks, and you can distribute your data in all the disks, so that if any disk got failed, other disk will be working without getting any effect over it. This is the concept of non-redundant stripping. And here comes one drawback. Assume that if D disk got failed, how you will recover the data of D disk? It is not at all possible. So that to overcome that failure, RAID 1 has came up with the concept of mirror disk, which means that if you have 4 disks, the copy of all 4 will be stored in another 4 disks. So C in the sense copy. So assume the disk had C, D, E and F, and the copies of C, D, E and F will be there. Whenever you do update in the disk C, then immediately it has to be mirrored in copy of C disk. And if you are doing any updates in F disk, and the same should be reflected in F disk copy. So this is how, even if C disk got failed, you can have the backup in C disk copy. From there you can recover your data. So this is the concept of RAID 1. And here also one drawback is there, that is high memory is required. Assume that you have some 4 GB of 16 GB of your disk capacity. Again, to mirror it, you need some 16 GB of disk again. So it is more cost, and even if it will take more time to copy the content again and again, the repeated data, but you are storing it again. So it takes time, and the cost for having the memory is also high. So this is the drawback of mirror disk. You can recover your data, you no need to bother about the failure, but then the thing is, it will be more cost, and it will be taking more time to take the backup of your persisting data. To overcome that drawback, then next level came up, that is RAID 2, which will be having memory style error correcting codes, which mean that we won't be assured that every time your disk get failed, or you will be having some failure in your data and all. It is not assured that 100% it will be happening. So what here they suggested, instead of copying your entire content of the data Instead, what they are suggesting is to have some parity bits, so that if any failure happens, that can be checked using that error correction code, and only if the data got error, that can be recovered, and otherwise it is not at all needed to have the backup of the data. That is why all 4 of your disk will be there, that is original disk C, D, E and F, and to check whether error is there. If error is there, how to recover from that error. To note down that we have parity bits in 3 disks. Okay, so your data has been there, and if your data got failed, to check what error has happened and how to recover from that error, we will be having 3 separate disks. This disk will help only when there is error in any of the disk, otherwise it won't be used. So this is a concept in memory style error correcting codes. Here also one of the drawback is there, that it uses much of the memory for storing the parity bits and to check the error and to correct the error. To overcome this, that is to having more memory for error correcting codes, to reduce it, then RAID 3 came up with a solution of bit interleaved parity, which means not having entire data transaction, like if 8 bits are there, for each and every bit there won't be mechanism to detect and correct the error. Here it came with one bit will be added to check whether any error is there or not. If it is not there, it is okay, otherwise it will try to recover where the error has been happened and to overcome it. We know that the data will be stored and processed in the forms of zeros and ones, so a bit will be changed. For example, if you are transmitting a data in the sequence 1101 and it has been stored in the disk as 1100, then in only one bit the error has been happened. That bit will be identified and it will be recovered. For that only bit interleaved parity uses. So it reduces the number of parity bits allocated in memory, and it uses a bit interleaved parity, which will be used to identify whether any error is there or not. If error is there, it try to resolve from it. And RAID 4 and 5 is also the same concept. RAID 4 is block interleaved parity, not for bits. It will take one entire block of data and it will check any error is there or not using the parity bits. Parity bits is also zeros and ones. By adding the parity bit, we could get to know whether any error is there or not. If error is not there, then it means that your data is success. If not, it try to resolve from that. So that is what block interleaved parity. And RAID 5 is block interleaved distributed parity. Instead of having the parity block separately, parity disk separately, it allows to store parity in each and every disk. Like you see here it is parity bits are loaded separately in a disk. Instead, each disk will have its own parity to check error and to recover from the error. For C, it has own parity, and for D, E, F, and since it is distributed, it has been distributed over the network, so that it takes 5 blocks instead of 4. And RAID Q is the same, P plus Q redundancy, which means if you have some data and if the data is more important, which means it is very frequently used and you feel that the data is more important, if any failure happens and then it will create threat to your system, for such kind of data we can have redundancy in any of the disk, which means you can repeat the data, you can take backup of the data in some other disk. It is not mandatory that all the data should be redundant and all the data should be repeated. Whenever there is a need for certain data which is to be backed up, for that data alone you can have the backup in some other disk. That is what P plus Q redundancy. You can see that in the first 2 disks there is no redundant, in another disk there is some of the importance in data, so such data are redundant, which means repeated, so that if the data got failed, it can be recovered from some other disk. This is how the RAID level works to support any of the failure in the disk and to make fault tolerance. And this is what we have seen. Based on the application, we can combine the RAID levels as well. RAID 0 plus 1 as well as 1 plus 0. 0 plus 1 in the sense stripping will be happening, which means different data will be stored in different disks, and followed by mirroring. So first data is stripped and then mirroring happens. So we assume that first disk got failed, then the copy will be there, from that the data will be recovered. Even the second case also, that RAID 1 plus 0, which means mirrored then stripped. So mirroring of all the data will be available. If any failure happens, see that the first disk got failed, then from the mirroring it will take the backup of the data. This is based on the application. OS will decide which one to combine. And extensions of RAID, so it does not prevent or detect data corruptions or any other errors. Only it is used for disk failures. If disk got failed, then it can be supported with the help of RAID. Other than that, it won't see for any data has been corrupted or any error has been happened and all. And Solaris uses Z file system, which will be adding checksum for all the data and metadata. Checksum is also a concept of error detection and correction. So the checksum will be kept with a pointer to object. It will detect whether the object is the right one or any changes has been made. So that is what, if it is 0 1 0, and checksum will detect whether it is the original data 0 1 0. If not, it will be like 0 1 1 or 1 0 0. Then it will identify some error has been happened in the data, and it will detect and correct the data before it gets stored in the main memory. So Z file system also removes the volumes and partition, which means the disk will be allocated in pools. It won't be storing all the data in one particular disk. And the file system with a pool share, that pool uses and releases space like malloc, and free if the data is no longer used, it will make the cells to be free. This is how it helps. So metadata will be there and address, and you could see that for all the metadata block there will be checksum. This checksum helps to detect and recover from the error, and whenever the data has been there, it will try to identify whether any error has been happened in that bits whatever that has been transmitted to store. If there is no errors, then it will be loaded in the disk. If there is any error, it will detect and recover from that error. And this is how the file system distributes the data and manages the volume also. So traditional file system, it follows the volume. Based on the volume, it will be distributed in the disk. If it is pooled storage, then Z file system will be having some storage pool, and it will determine where the data has to be stored, because all the disks are interconnected. So whenever the disk is free and it is having huge memory, in that area it will load the data. If it finds any of the disk is overdamped, then it will make it free for some time without storing any of the data. This is how the disk space has been managed in case of Solaris. And then comes tertiary storage devices. So we know that primary storage will be there, secondary storage will be there, and additional to that we have some tertiary storage, which is a large storage device, and it is of low cost, and it is built by using removable media. Like you can use your pen drives, or you can use external hard disk. All those things are called as tertiary storage devices. So whenever a processor needs the data, it will look up to the primary memory first. If the data is not there, it will go to the secondary memory. For that also it will take more time, and if the data is not available in the secondary memory, then only it will go for tertiary storage. So the seek time for the processor to get the data from the third storage is more high. So that is why the data which is irrelevant, and if the data is too high, then it can be stored in the third storage devices. Generally it will be a removable disk like floppy disk, CD-ROMs, or your external hard disk or pen drives, whatever it can be. And how it will be used. So floppy disk, in the sense, a thin flexible disk coated with magnetic material enclosed in a protective plastic case. Nowadays what we are using is hard disk, external hard disk, and pen drives and all. So it can hold any amount of data, and based on that you can have your removable disk, and it is nearly fast as hard disk because they are greater of risk of damage from exposure. which means that if it is our personal usage, we are having it, and there is no much possibility for having failure often. So whenever we are in need of, we can connect to it. If it is not required, we can remove it. And magneto-optic disc can also record data on a rigid platter coated with magnetic material, and it is of laser heat, which is used to amplify large weak magnetic field to record a bit, and it is used to read the data, and whatever the disc surface is, it is magnetically covered, so it is with a protective layer, and it is resistant to the head crashes. It won't be crashing it like a floppy disk and all. An optical disc can also be used as a removable disc. It is also depend on the application. If the application or if the storage is required such type of disc, then it can be used. And let's see how operating system supports for such type of disk and all. So major OS job is to manage the physical devices. Whatever the device you are connecting to a system, that will be recognized by the OS to present some virtual machine abstraction to application. To make all the application work with that hardware, it is needed that OS should interface that particular disk, whatever you have connected with it, to all the applications that is there in the system. And for hard disk, the OS provides two abstraction. One is raw device, which means an array of data blocks can be attached to any of the OS. And next comes file system. Here the OS will queue whatever the file you have and schedule it, and based on the scheduling application, it will be providing the file system to all the application without having much waiting time. And it also provides application interface for whatever the disk we have connected with. So most of the OS handle removable disk exactly like fixed disk. If you are connecting your pen drive, it works similar to the disk drives which is there in the system, like C drive. How you are working with D drive, in the same fashion you will be working with your removable disk. That fashion has been provided with the help of OS. And if you are adding new printer device or whatever the device you are adding, that will be supported with the help of OS in the same fashion as the device which is there in the system. And tapes are presented as a raw storage medium, that is, application does not open a file on the tape. It will be opening a file similar to the raw device, which means if E drive is there, how you are working with E drive, in the same way you will be working with any of that storage devices. Usually the tape drive reserved for the exclusive use of that application, and OS does not provide file system services. That application has to devise what is the file system they are going to use. If it is Sun Network file system, then it will be using some separate fashion. If it is Solaris, then it uses ZFS for their file system. So file system is purely dependent on that OS what we are using. And since every application makes up its own rules for how to organize a tape, and tape full of data can generally be used by the program that created by it. So whatever the type of OS we are using, based on the type of OS, the file system and that interfacing will be provided to all the secondary storage devices whatever we are using in our system. So we have seen in fourth module completely about secondary storage devices, how the mass storage devices will be helpful, and how the OS interfaces all those mass storage devices, like in terms of file system, in terms of disk, magnetic disk, in terms of magnetic tapes, and how the disk drivers are working, how the disk controllers helps, and how the disk attachment can be made, and how disk scheduling works. And followed by, we have seen what is the disk structure, and then we have seen how network file system works and what is the architecture of it, how a file can be mounted remotely from the server to the user application. And finally we have seen what is RAID and what are the levels of RAIDs are there, how it helps for fault tolerance. And finally we have seen how OS provides interface to all those secondary storage devices to our system and system applications. Thank you.